Hello,
Hello?
we're back.
We are back again. Welcome
Last
back.
time was that was a fun story Seven told us.
Last time was a very, very, very long episode that was just a complete lore dump that answered so many questions that we had been waiting for.
Yeah, like apparently Akane's a ghost or something.
Eh, I'm sure she ties into the Alice story somehow. Not entirely sure how, but maybe she is Alice and her body is possessed by that's
That would be a
weird, but
very
also
burned looking body. It's a good
not
thing
a
they didn't show it though, right? Golly.
that's true.
Knowing this
Make
game, I can only imagine what sort of descriptors they would have put.
probably 5 pages of like no really like she just looked like a human steak, like
Oh yeah, there would be food
actually
analogies.
seared to a crisp, very barbecued, definitely well done, and it smelled like, I don't know, a pig roasting over a fire or something, and burning hair.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't go into detail,
I'm glad that I didn't go into detail.
right? Anyway, so also the time limit is up and we are now sinking, so we better get a move on.
eh
Huh.
Time is relative.
I think the shaking stopped.
It would seem so, but we are yet to be out of danger. You're right. Let's hurry.
They ran across the hallway.
This exit needs the Uranus card, too.
Uranus card. Straight for the large metal door. Next to the door was the Uranus card reader.
Hey, Junpei.
Yeah, I know.
I'm on it. They slid the keycard through and the door rumbled open.
All right, it's open. Let's go.
Out of the library and into the hallway they ran. At the end of the hallway was a door. Junpei reached into his pocket to pull out the key as he ran toward it.
Okay, Neptune Key, let's see if you work.
He turned it.
Yes! I think it
It
unlocked.
would have been funny if it didn't work.
I know, it's like,
Then
what do
you'd
you
be
do
like,
then?
well, what do you, yeah.
I guess I'll just die. The lock clicked. As one, they shoved the door open and poured through it. In front of them was another great metal door. Above it was a metal plaque.
It says incinerator. So this is the incinerator.
Incinerator. I hardly know her.
Didn't
This is the first time I've seen it from this side, but yeah, I think so.
stop Hongo.
Then there ought to be a lever near the door. Yeah, right here.
Junpei ran up to it.
Pull that and the door should open. Got it.
As he spoke, he pulled the lever. The motor in the door groaned as it slowly ground open. There was no time to waste.
Let's go.
As soon as the door had opened far enough to admit them, all four dashed through. Then suddenly there before them were the four who they'd parted from earlier. Ace and Lotus stood in front of the number 9 door. Santa was curled into a ball against the wall of the incinerator, holding his stomach. And then there was June. She sat slumped against the wall, exhausted.
What the hell is going on?
Junpei ran toward June. He skidded to a stop in front of her and knelt down.
What's wrong? Are you okay?
Her face was pale and her lips dry. When she spoke, he could barely hear her.
Jumpy, you came to get me.
Of course I did. I made a promise.
Lady, we got a lot of questions for you right now, but... eh.
I'm so glad you're here. So glad.
She mumbled the same words over and over weakly. Junpei could feel his heart breaking.
Hey, what happened to you?
I'm fine. I just fainted. I wasn't feeling very good. I'm feeling a lot better now, though.
Are you sure?
Yes. I just need to rest a little longer. I'm sure I'll be fine. You shouldn't worry about me.
He was looking towards Santa. Junpei turned to look as well.
Santa.
Santa grimaced, his face contorted in pain. Seven grabbed him by the collar and roared at him.
Hey, where is it? Where's the gun? You hide it somewhere?
I bet Ace took it.
Despite himself, a grunt of pain escaped Santa's lips as Seven shook him.
I don't have it. I got sucker punched and they took the gun.
What? Who took it?
What? Isn't that obvious?
I took the gun.
Yup. Oh
Hey.
boy.
This
Ace.
seems familiar.
Here we go again.
He did indeed have the revolver in his hand. It was pressed against Lotus's temple. Ace had her pinned to him with the other arm, and she was shaking visibly. Her fiery attitude was gone, replaced by fear. She did not dare speak. There was sweat on her forehead, and when her eyes weren't flickering up to the gun pressed against her, they seemed to desperately want to say something.
Just what the hell do you think you're doing, Ace? Or maybe I ought to say Gentaro Hongo, CEO of Cradle Pharmaceuticals?
My man Seven stepping up to the plate.
Seven's deep baritone rumble shook the walls. Ace sneered.
You have me at a disadvantage, and I don't like that. You know me, but I don't know you. Do you have any idea how much I've suffered? Can you even begin to understand my pain?
No.
No.
The pain of prosopagnosia, right?
Junpei's voice was
Yeah.
casual. Or at least it was trying to be.
How did he figure it out
Another
so quickly?
irritating insect. And how do you know that?
Good question.
Good question. I have no idea. Junpei couldn't say. He just knew. Another unexplainable mystery.
No matter. If you don't want to answer, it makes no difference to me. This is a waste of time anyway. It's time for me to go.
Behind Ace, Junpei could see the red. It was placed in the small indentation on the wall. Quickly, Ace placed his hand on the scanner.
First is 1. Give me your hand.
It beeped and he forced Lotus's hand onto it as well.
8. And with this,
Then at last he reached into the pocket of his jacket. He pulled something out and pressed it against the panel. The third asterisk appeared on the red.
9.
The thing he had used for the final verification was the bracelet with the number 9.
The ninth man. Kubota's bracelet.
1 + 8 + 9 had a digital root of 9.
I believe I've won this game.
His smirk made Junpei's blood boil.
I've had quite a time playing with you. I must thank Zero, I suppose.
Wait, what? Ace doesn't know who Zero is.
Because he's, well,
Junpei's
He's got
eyes
pros-
flicked towards Santa.
prosopagnosia.
Listen, it's probably an annoying thing to have to live with, but I certainly don't think it would drive you to be an absolute psychopath.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you would get really used to it and probably adapt.
I think so too.
He hadn't moved since they'd entered the room. Santa was still holding his stomach and groaning as if in immense pain. Junpei wasn't sure if it was real pain, but he wasn't sure it wasn't either.
What the hell are you planning, Santa?
At any rate, this game ends now. I will escape, and the rest of you will have a slightly less pleasant ending. I suggest you enjoy your final moments. Goodbye. Wait!
Ace, of course, paid no heed to Seven's request and laid hold of the lever on the red. With a sickening sense of finality, he pulled it. Chunk.
What? Why isn't it opening? One more time.
Lotus tried to take advantage of Ace's confusion and managed to twist herself out of his grasp, but at the last second he grabbed hold of her wrist and shoved it onto the red.
Now open!
He waved the number 9 bracelet over the red and then his own bracelet as well. He pulled the lever a second time.
No! What is this? Why? That digital root should be 9! It has to be 9! Then why? Why isn't it opening?
Oh.
Ace's fury and confusion had overridden all other thoughts. He had set down the revolver. It was just below the red.
Now!
Seven chose that moment to act. He moved far faster than a man of his bulk should have been able to, and he launched that bulk straight at Ace.
My man.
Seriously, man, how can you not like Seven? Like, gosh, he's so good. It was over before they knew it.
Yeah, I think Seven is my favorite character. Well,
He
him
is
and
so
I like
good.
Snake a lot too, so.
In the blink of an eye, Ace was on the floor.
What
He
a
rolled
man you
onto
are.
his side, groaning in pain.
Ugh.
Lotus ran straight for Junpei. She darted around behind him and stuck her head out, making sure to keep Junpei between herself and Ace.
Oh, that was close. Too close. Thank you, Seven.
Don't mention it.
Seven stood over Ace, his breathing slow and heavy.
Just one punch ain't enough for this piece of shit. After what he did 9 years ago, I ought to rip him to pieces. But if a suspect
agree.
can't talk, they ain't much good. Once he's locked up in a cell, we're gonna have a little chat.
Yes. Some friendly negotiations, I'm sure.
9 years ago? Then you must be... Yeah, you finally figured it out, dumbass. Oh.
Ace planted his hands on the floor and shook his head. Junpei walked toward him. He stopped and looked down at Ace with pity on his face.
Ace, you killed Kubota, Nijisaki, and Musashido, didn't you?
Wait, Nijisaki?
He peered at Junpei, genuinely confused.
Oh, right. You don't know yet. All right. We'll just go through them in order then. Let's start off with Kubota. You talked to Kubota and managed to convince him to go into door 5 alone. You killed him without making it look like you killed him.
Dude, I love how in this timeline, Junpei literally just figures everything out, like pretty much by himself. But in like the other timelines, he has to be told these things. It's just kind of crazy.
Yeah, but now he just knows them, which is crazy.
Yep.
The way I figure it, you had 4 motives. 1. In the nonary game, the number 9 is dangerous. Whoever had the 9 bracelet could join whatever team they wanted. Adding 9 to any number doesn't change the digital root.
Correct.
You wanted to remove that threat as soon as possible. 2. You wanted the number 9 bracelet for yourself, so that you could make use of its power. In fact, you did use it in the murder of Nijisaki.
I love how he's just actually repeating what Ace said right back in his face, and he has no idea. It's so
Yeah.
great.
3. Even if his number hadn't been 9, Kubota was a problem. He knew your past. He knew what had happened 9 years before. You needed to silence him before he told anyone. 4. But last, and perhaps the most disturbing, you used Kubota as a test. You wanted to know how serious this nonary game was. Was it truly life or death, or simply a harmless prank? You convinced him to break the rules so you could see what would happen. That was why you killed Kubota, but he was only the first. Next was Nijisaki. While everyone was off looking for the missing parts for the Reds, you ran into Nijisaki near the big hospital room. However, because of your prosopagnosia, you didn't realize he was Nijisaki. Chiefly because, when you met him, he was dressed like Snake. That was why you thought Nijisaki was Snake.
No,
Man.
That's not... That
He's
was
being so
Nijisaki?
big brain right now.
Is he being big-brained? I mean, that's like if somebody told me all the answers and then I repeated them to you, but it made me sound smart.
Okay, you know what? You're right. When you put it that way, that's more accurate.
Why? How did...
I'll get to that. Anyway, you thought he was Snake. Snake was one of the kids in your experiment 9 years ago. You remembered him because he was the blind kid. But his presence made you think. Snake was one of my subjects 9 years ago. He probably hates me. But if that's true, why isn't he saying anything? Is he keeping quiet because he can't see? Or perhaps he's working with Zero to get revenge on me. Whatever the reason, anyone who knows my past is a threat. Before he tries anything, I need to get rid of him. That was when you decided you had to kill him. The murder weapon was Kubota's bracelet. You just waved it over the red. Verified your own number and then grabbed Nijisaki's arm and forced it over the scanner panel. Then, when the door opened, you kicked him in. 9 seconds later, the door closed.
Chunk.
And then 81 seconds passed. And poor Nijisaki was dead.
Yeah, poor him.
Yeah. Womp womp.
And you mean to say... Snake is
Womp
still
womp.
alive?
Sorry to disappoint you, but I'm as good as new.
I'm back.
I'm back, bitches. You thought you could get rid of me for good.
Thank you for killing the wrong man. But
Rumors
I can't
of my
say I like knowing that you wanted me dead.
rumors of my death have been greatly exaggerated.
Yeah.
Although, to be honest, even if you hadn't tried to kill me, I would still hate you very much.
I would imagine.
Well, I wouldn't blame you.
Ace's self-derision was frustrating. Junpei kept his emotions in check and continued.
Last but not least, let's talk about Musashido's death. When Clover and I were investigating the chart room, you came over to talk to me.
Now this is actually Junpei figuring it out himself, instead of just repeating the answers.
Do you remember what you said?
Oh, a pocket watch. Might I take a look at it?
I handed it to you, and you left the room. You had been in charge of the Nonary project. Of course you would have known the solution to every puzzle. Which would mean that you also knew how to get out of the wheelhouse. All you had to do was place the watch in the indentation on the door to unlock it. With the door open, you could enter the captain's quarters. Musashido was there. Conveniently placed next to him was an axe that practically begged you to kill him with it. You picked up that axe and buried the blade deep in the other man's chest.
All right, well,
One blow
that
was all
explains
it
that.
took. And then you returned to the chart room as if nothing had happened.
There was something I wanted to speak with you about, Junpei. Could you come with me for a moment?
Yeah, that was when he cock-blocked us with Clover, I remember.
I had no reason to say no, so I followed you to the wheelhouse. When we stepped inside, Remember how you slipped your hand into my vest? You pulled out a piece of paper, the one I used to cheat during the vote. But that wasn't really what you were after.
Oh,
Your true
what?
purpose had been to slip the watch into my pocket. It wasn't a very good plan. Had way too many holes, and someone saying the wrong thing could have brought it all down around you. You must have been desperate. But what
Oh,
made you willing
man.
to risk it all to do it?
He's going in hard.
Ace,
That was the only thing Junpei hadn't been able to figure out.
Musashido's murder is the only one I don't understand. You obviously did it. But why?
Because of this.
Slowly, Ace reached down and pulled something out of his pocket. It was a folded piece of paper.
What's with the paper?
Just read it.
Junpei took it and opened it.
Let's see.
This was what it said.
Number 1. There are 2 ways you might survive this ordeal. The first is to win the nonary game. The second is for you to confess your sins of 9 years past. I have prepared a camera in the captain's quarters. The images captured by that camera will be streamed through a satellite and distributed across the world. Simply look into the camera and repent. Once you have confessed everything, I will release you from this ship. To make your confession more credible, I have left you a witness in the captain's quarters. Perhaps he will confess with you.
Oh.
The decision is yours. Do as you please.
Glad to see where his morals lie.
Great.
When I awoke in that room on D-Deck, I found that in my pocket. That was why I chose door 1 when we voted. If I went through that door, I knew I could get to the captain's quarters. As you said, I knew how to enter the wheelhouse. My plan was to find the pocket watch before anyone else. If I could, then my alibi would be set. At least, that was the plan. Unfortunately for me, you got to it first. That sleight of hand was the best I could manage on short notice.
You meant to kill him from the beginning then? Musashido, I mean.
I only knew Musashido was the witness after I reached the captain's quarters. I asked him, and he answered. He seemed groggy. Perhaps he had only just awoken from sedation. I suppose Nijisaki was in much the same state. He seemed confused and disoriented when I encountered him. But yes, you are correct. I intended to kill him from the beginning, even though I didn't know who he was. I proceeded to the captain's quarters in order to remove this so-called witness.
Ace had confessed everything.
Makes
And it doesn't
perfect
seem like he's
sense.
very remorseful about any of it.
No.
Yeah, I killed those guys. What of it? What energy he had left with him with the truth, and he sagged on his knees. Although he had confessed, his sins were not forgiven. Junpei felt revulsion for the pathetic man on the floor near his feet. But in among the revulsion was a hint of pity. After all, Ace had not been the only person who murdered those 3 men. Junpei spoke quietly.
Ace, you figured it out, haven't you? You were being manipulated.
Yes, so it would seem.
He got you good, dude.
I was
It's
little more
actually
than a
kind of
puppet.
brilliant. Like, you
in
can't
many
even be
ways.
mad at him.
I mean, you can, but
I mean, sure, but yeah.
Everywhere I went, everything was already prepared. The Reds in the large hospital room were dismantled. Nijisaki was dressed like Snake. There was an axe in the captain's quarters. Musashido was delirious from the anesthetic, so he couldn't fight back. Nijisaki as well. In retrospect, I can't understand how I could have fallen into such a simple trap. But yes, This was a trap.
It was a trap that would only catch someone who was a genuine piece of shit, and I think you fit the bill perfectly.
It was Zero's trap.
Yep.
I fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. I did everything he wanted me to do.
Sucks to suck.
Yeah. By manipulating you, Zero was able to kill 3 people and keep the blood off his own hands. All
Yup.
of this was revenge for what happened 9 years ago. That's why this nonary game happened. Am I right, Santa?
Santa? Junpei looked over at Santa. As Junpei spoke, he stood up, his legs still shaky.
Huh? What the hell are you talking about? I don't know any.
Ain't no point trying to play dumb anymore, Santa. Actually, I guess I should call you Aoi Kurashiki, huh?
Seven's face was sad as he spoke.
My memory came back to me, kid. You're Aoi Kurashiki, no doubt about it. Never thought I'd be back in this room talking to you. But hey, I guess this was all part of your plan, right? After all, the person who planned the nonary game this time around was Zero. And Zero's you.
Looks like you really do have your memories back, huh?
Santa's smile was sarcastic and something else.
Well, I guess there's no point in hiding it then, huh? Yeah, you got me. I'm Aoi Kurashiki. I was one of the kids in the nonary game 9 years ago. I made it out. So did Snake over there. But there's one thing... No, I guess there's 2 things you got wrong. Number 1, I ain't Zero.
Heh. I was wondering if that was coming.
Well, I mean, I guess if we take his word for it.
Sure.
What?
Wait, what?
I was like kind of wondering, is it really that cut and dry?
Sure, I was helping Zero out, but I'm really more of an assistant, like a secretary.
Oh, okay.
But an assistant's only an assistant.
Yes,
I didn't
Akane
come
was
up with
Zero
all
the
this.
entire time.
Well, he does say it's not his idea, so...
In fact,
All
her
I
getting
did was
taken at
follow
gunpoint
Zero's
was
orders.
all part of the plan, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Then, if you're not Zero, who is?
Isn't it obvious, Junpei? Come on, man,
Calm
use your
down there,
noggin.
Junpei. Didn't I say 2 things? You made one more mistake. Junpei, you just said, all of this was revenge for what happened 9 years ago. That's why this nonary game happened. But that's not it. Revenge isn't the only purpose. There's another reason you guys were playing the nonary game. To save someone.
Oh,
Save someone?
Right. You were brought here to help my sister. To save Akane.
Uh-huh.
What the hell are you talking about? Akane Kurashiki died 9 years ago in this room. I was there. I saw...
Suddenly, Seven froze. His eyes went as wide as dinner plates, and he spun around toward June. Junpei followed his gaze.
What?
She was gone. Where had June had been, there was nothing.
What the hell? Where is she? Where's Akane Kurashiki?
Seven began to mumble to himself a strange series of words strung together as if his mind wasn't functioning properly. His face was twisted with effort as though he were struggling with something they couldn't see. He gritted his teeth and pressed his hands against the sides of his head.
Ugh! Oh, my head! My head, it feels like it's gonna pop.
7! What the hell is going on?
I don't know. I just... Oh! I swear to God, my head feels like it's about to explode!
From somewhere far away, they all heard a deep, heavy noise. It sounded like a tremendous wheel slowly beginning to turn. Santa seemed to have entered an almost trance-like state. His words were calm and measured.
What was the Nonary Project? I'm sure you know already, but I'll tell you one more time. It was a project designed to test a particular phenomenon. And what was that phenomenon? For two organisms to communicate with one another in the absence of physical contact. The morphogenetic field theory. Could human beings use these invisible fields to exchange information? That was what this experiment was conducted to determine. There were two separate locations. One was the Gigantic, and the other was a building in Nevada called Building Q. The 9 children trapped in Building Q were faced with numerous puzzles, copies of identical ones on the Gigantic. They were told to send their answers into the morphic field set and transmit them to their brothers and sisters on the Gigantic. The transmitters were put in Building Q, and the receivers were put on the Gigantic. Each sibling pair was supposed to be split up, but there was a mistake. Akane was a transmitter. She should have been in Building Q. However, for some reason, she was placed on the Gigantic with the receivers, like me. Perhaps she was mistaken for someone who was supposed to be in Group A. Whatever the case, Akane ended up on the Gigantic.
Okay. That's,
I think I've told you enough. You get it, don't you?
Yeah, that is a little weird when you think about it.
Yeah.
Now, for people who have seen the game before, I'm going to do something incredibly cruel and end the episode right here, actually.
Oh, no.
If you know what's coming next, I'm sure you are looking just as forward to it as I am.
You can't do that to me.
I just did.
You can't do that to them.
I just did.
Oh.
Please look forward to it.